Have you ever paused to reflect on the profound importance of Surah Al-Fatiha, the very first chapter of the Quran? Known as the opening, it holds a unique and honored position in the Quran and in the hearts of Muslims worldwide. But why is it called the opening, and what makes it so significant? In Islam, beginnings are deeply meaningful. Every act, every prayer, and every endeavor starts with seeking Allah's guidance and blessings. Surah Al-Fatiha, being the opening of the Quran, sets the stage for all that follows. It is not merely a chapter but a complete essence of the Quran's teachings, encapsulating themes of worship, guidance, Allah's mercy, and the ultimate reality of the hereafter. It is the foundation of a Muslim's faith and a direct conversation with Allah, recited multiple times every day during Salah. This surah serves as a gateway, guiding believers toward a deeper understanding of Allah's words and their purpose in this world. Its words are a prayer, a declaration of faith, and a plea for divine guidance, all in just 7 powerful verses. Surah Al-Fatiha teaches us to begin with gratitude, seek Allah's mercy, and rely on His guidance, setting the tone for our relationship with the Creator. But why does Surah Al-Fatiha hold such an elevated status in the Quran? What lessons does it teach, and how does it shape our faith and worship? Let's explore these questions further to uncover the timeless wisdom within this remarkable chapter. The meaning of Al-Fatiha as the opening. The word Al-Fatiha itself translates to the opening, signifying its role as the first chapter of the Quran and the gateway to its divine teachings. This title is deeply symbolic, reflecting its purpose as the starting point for understanding Allah's message to humanity. It is the chapter that opens the Quran and introduces us to the themes and principles that form the foundation of Islamic faith. In Islamic tradition, beginnings are sacred. Every act, no matter how small or significant, is encouraged to start with the remembrance of Allah. Surah Al-Fatiha, as the opening chapter of the Quran, follows this divine pattern. It begins with words of praise and gratitude for Allah, acknowledging Him as the Lord of all worlds, the most merciful, and the sovereign of the Day of Judgment. These words set the tone for a Muslim's relationship with their Creator, reminding them of His mercy, justice, and supreme authority. The placement of Surah Al-Fatiha at the very start of the Quran is not random but intentional. It serves as a preface to the Quran's deeper guidance, encapsulating its core themes. By reciting Surah Al-Fatiha, a believer is reminded of their purpose in life, their dependence on Allah, and their ultimate accountability in the hereafter. Its opening words, "In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate," establish a connection between the reciter and Allah, emphasizing that every act should begin with His name and under His guidance. This chapter is not only the opening of the Quran, but also the opening of every prayer. Muslims recite Surah Al-Fatiha in every unit of Salah, making it an integral part of their daily worship. Its repeated recitation reinforces its role as a spiritual and literal opening to Allah's mercy and guidance. It reminds believers that every journey, whether worldly or spiritual, should begin with seeking Allah's help and blessings. Surah Al-Fatiha's title as the opening also signifies its role as a gateway to understanding the Quran. It provides an introduction to the concepts of worship, reliance on Allah, and seeking His guidance, preparing the reader to engage with the Quran's deeper messages. It is a reminder that to truly benefit from the Quran, one must approach it with humility, sincerity, and a heart-seeking guidance. Encapsulation of the Quran's themes. Surah Al-Fatiha is called the opening, not only because it begins the Quran, but also because it encapsulates the core themes of Allah's divine message. Within its 7 powerful verses lies a summary of the Quran's central teachings, making it the essence of the Quran and a guide for those who seek to understand their Creator and their purpose in life. The first 3 verses of Surah Al-Fatiha establish the fundamental relationship between the Creator and His creation. The verse, "All praise belongs to Allah, the Lord of all worlds," reminds us that Allah is the sustainer and creator of everything that exists. It calls on believers to recognize His greatness, showing gratitude for the countless blessings He has bestowed upon them. This theme of gratitude is a recurring message throughout the Quran, urging humanity to be thankful for Allah's mercy and provision. The verse, "the most merciful, the most compassionate," highlights Allah's mercy as one of His defining attributes. It reassures believers that no matter their struggles or sins, Allah's mercy is vast and always within reach. This theme is echoed in numerous parts of the Quran, emphasizing that Allah's mercy encompasses all things and that turning to Him with sincerity brings forgiveness and peace. The acknowledgement of Allah as Master of the Day of Judgment introduces another central theme of the Quran: accountability. It serves as a reminder that every action in this life will be weighed on the Day of Judgment, where Allah will deliver perfect justice. This theme encourages believers to live a life of righteousness, knowing that their deeds are being recorded and that they will stand before Allah to answer for their choices. The final verses of Surah Al-Fatiha shift to a personal prayer from the believer to Allah, seeking guidance on the straight path. This plea, "Guide us to the straight path," represents the ultimate purpose of the Quran: to guide humanity toward a path that leads to Allah's pleasure and eternal success. The mention of the path of those who have earned Allah's favor and the avoidance of the paths of those who have gone astray further underscores the Quran's message of choosing obedience and avoiding disobedience. In essence, Surah Al-Fatiha is a dialogue between the believer and Allah. It starts with praise, moves to an acknowledgement of Allah's mercy and justice, and culminates in a heartfelt prayer for guidance. This structure mirrors the Quran's broader message, which calls humanity to recognize Allah's greatness, reflect on His mercy and justice, and follow His guidance for success in this world and the hereafter. Through its concise yet profound words, Surah Al-Fatiha serves as a perfect summary of the Quran's themes. It is a reminder that all aspects of life, worship, gratitude, accountability, and seeking guidance, revolve around Allah's divine will and mercy. Integral role in worship and life. Surah Al-Fatiha holds a uniquely central place in Islamic worship and daily life. It is recited in every unit of Salah, making it one of the most frequently recited parts of the Quran. Its role in worship is profound, as it connects the believer directly with Allah in a personal and meaningful way. The recitation of Surah Al-Fatiha during Salah is not just a ritualistic act but a conversation with Allah. In an authentic hadith, the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, explained that when a believer recites each verse of Surah Al-Fatiha, Allah responds. For example, when the believer says, "All praise belongs to Allah, the Lord of all worlds," Allah responds, "My servant has praised me." This hadith highlights the intimate nature of Salah and the direct connection a Muslim establishes with their Creator through the recitation of this chapter. Surah Al-Fatiha also serves as a reminder of the purpose of life. The verse, "You alone we worship and you alone we ask for help," reaffirms the believer's commitment to tawheed, the oneness of Allah. It is a declaration that all acts of worship, reliance, and hope are directed solely toward Allah. This concept is the foundation of Islamic faith and practice, emphasizing that Allah is the only one worthy of worship and the ultimate source of help in every aspect of life. The phrase, "Guide us to the straight path," is a prayer that reinforces the need for constant guidance from Allah. No matter how knowledgeable or pious a person may be, they remain in need of Allah's direction to stay on the path of righteousness. This prayer also acknowledges human vulnerability and the constant struggle to make the right choices in life. By reciting it regularly, believers renew their dependence on Allah and their commitment to follow His guidance. Beyond Salah, Surah Al-Fatiha is a source of daily inspiration and reflection. Its verses provide comfort in times of hardship, reminding believers of Allah's mercy and justice. Its teachings encourage gratitude, humility, and trust in Allah, shaping a believer's mindset and actions throughout their life. Whether in moments of joy or difficulty, the recitation of Surah Al-Fatiha serves as a reminder to turn to Allah in all circumstances. Furthermore, the constant recitation of this chapter embeds its meanings deeply into the heart and mind of the believer. It becomes a guide for living a life of faith, reminding them to worship Allah sincerely, seek His help in all matters, and remain grateful for His countless blessings. This daily engagement with Surah Al-Fatiha strengthens the spiritual connection between the believer and Allah, making it an integral part of a Muslim's journey toward Him. A direct conversation with Allah. Surah Al-Fatiha is unique in its role as a direct conversation between the believer and Allah. This aspect is deeply emphasized in a Hadith Qudsi, where Allah Himself explains the dialogue that occurs during the recitation of this surah in Salah. When the believer recites each verse, Allah responds, making the act of recitation a deeply personal and interactive form of worship. When the believer says, "All praise belongs to Allah, the Lord of all worlds," Allah responds, "My servant has praised me." With the verse, "The most merciful, the most compassionate," Allah says, "My servant has exalted me." When the believer declares, "Master of the Day of Judgment," Allah acknowledges, "My servant has glorified me." This interaction continues until the end of the surah, where Allah affirms, "This is for my servant, and my servant shall have what he asks for." This hadith highlights the unparalleled significance of Surah Al-Fatiha. It is not just a chapter to be recited, but a means to engage in a heartfelt dialogue with Allah. Each verse is a recognition of Allah's greatness, mercy, and justice, and Allah, in turn, responds with acknowledgement and affirmation of His closeness to the believer. This exchange exemplifies the mercy and love Allah has for His servants, making Surah Al-Fatiha a direct channel to connect with Him. The structure of Surah Al-Fatiha also reflects the relationship between the Creator and His creation. It begins with praise for Allah, transitions to an acknowledgement of His mercy and authority, and concludes with a supplication for guidance. This format mirrors the essence of a believer's relationship with Allah: gratitude, recognition of His greatness, and a plea for His assistance. For Muslims, this surah serves as a reminder that Allah is always near, listening to their prayers and understanding their deepest needs. The intimate nature of this surah transforms the act of salah from a mere ritual into a profound spiritual experience. It emphasizes that Allah is not distant, but is close to His servants, responding to their calls and guiding them toward the path of righteousness. In addition to salah, the recitation of Surah Al-Fatiha in personal prayers reinforces this connection. Whether seeking guidance in difficult decisions, comfort in times of hardship, or simply expressing gratitude, the words of this surah remind believers that Allah is always present and attentive to their needs. It is a source of solace and strength, assuring them that no matter how challenging life may become, Allah's mercy and guidance are always within reach. Surah Al-Fatiha teaches that worship is not a one-sided act, but a relationship of love, trust, and reliance between the believer and Allah. By engaging with this surah daily, Muslims deepen their understanding of this relationship and strengthen their connection with their Creator. Surah Al-Fatiha as a gateway to guidance. Surah Al-Fatiha is not only the opening chapter of the Qur'an, but also a powerful gateway to divine guidance. Its verses encompass a heartfelt plea from the believer to Allah, seeking the path that leads to His pleasure and ultimate success. The prayer, "Guide us to the straight path," is a universal supplication that reflects the essence of a believer's journey through life. This plea for guidance is not limited to those who are lost, but extends to everyone regardless of their level of faith. It acknowledges that humans are constantly in need of Allah's guidance, whether to remain steadfast on the right path or to correct their course when they falter. This concept is deeply rooted in the Qur'an, which repeatedly reminds believers of their reliance on Allah for direction and clarity in all aspects of life. The straight path mentioned in this surah refers to the path of righteousness, obedience, and submission to Allah. It is the way of the prophets, the truthful, the martyrs, and the righteous, as highlighted in the Qur'an. By seeking this path, the believer asks Allah to protect them from deviation and to grant them the clarity to distinguish between right and wrong. Surah Al-Fatiha's role as a gateway to guidance is further emphasized in its connection to the rest of the Qur'an. While the surah offers a concise supplication for guidance, the remaining chapters and verses of the Qur'an provide the detailed roadmap to achieving it. This relationship establishes Surah Al-Fatiha as the foundation of the Qur'an, guiding believers to engage with its teachings and implement them in their lives. The surah also warns against two paths that lead away from Allah's pleasure: the path of those who have earned His anger and the path of those who have gone astray. This dual warning encourages reflection on one's actions and intentions, ensuring that they align with Allah's commands and the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. It serves as a reminder that true guidance comes from adhering to the Qur'an and Sunnah and avoiding influences that lead to misguidance. For Muslims, reciting Surah Al-Fatiha daily is a way to renew their commitment to following Allah's guidance. It serves as a reminder to seek His help in navigating the complexities of life and to remain humble in acknowledging their dependence on Him. This surah teaches that guidance is a gift from Allah, granted to those who sincerely seek it and strive to uphold it. Surah Al-Fatiha is more than a prayer. It is an essential part of the believer's relationship with Allah. It calls on Muslims to approach every aspect of life with a focus on earning Allah's pleasure and adhering to His guidance. By reciting it with sincerity and reflection, believers open their hearts to Allah's mercy and ensure that their lives are directed by His divine wisdom. Surah Al-Fatiha is not just the opening of the Quran, it is the opening of hearts and minds to the wisdom and mercy of Allah. It encapsulates the essence of the Quran's teachings, serving as a daily reminder of Allah's greatness, mercy, and justice. It strengthens our connection with Him, guides us in every aspect of our lives, and prepares us for the ultimate meeting with our Creator. Through its recitation, we are reminded to live with gratitude, seek Allah's guidance, and remain steadfast on the path of righteousness. Each verse is a powerful declaration of faith, a reflection of our dependence on Allah, and a source of comfort in times of hardship. Whether it is during Salah or in personal moments of prayer, Surah Al-Fatiha becomes a bridge between the believer and Allah, nurturing love, trust, and reliance. Now, it is time for action. Reflect on the beauty and wisdom of this surah the next time you recite it. Approach it not as a mere routine, but as an opportunity to engage in a heartfelt conversation with Allah. Teach your loved ones about its significance and encourage them to deepen their connection with this remarkable chapter. If you found this message inspiring, take a moment to share your thoughts in the comments below. How has Surah Al-Fatiha impacted your daily life and strengthened your faith? By sharing your experiences, you not only reflect on its wisdom but also inspire others to build their connection with Allah. Do not stop there. Share this message with your family, friends, and community. Let them know why Surah Al-Fatiha is called the opening, and how it can transform their worship and understanding of Islam. Together, we can spread the light of the Quran, one verse and one heart at a time. Will you take this step today? Leave a comment, share your reflections, and let the beauty of Surah Al-Fatiha inspire others to strengthen their faith and relationship with Allah. May Allah bless us all with the guidance and barakah of this sacred surah. Ameen.